M.A.F Australia team. So my role within M.A.F is actually I'm the head of the education team. So we go into all the Christian schools and run leadership programs within there for their student leaders. Also our virtual reality where we actually allow the kids to experience what it's like being on an M.A.F plane with the headset on. So all the young kids are like, yeah, this is awesome. And the number one thing I get is, am I dead? And I'm like, no, you're being medevaced. But they're imaginative. Their ideas just go out all different ways. But that is the purpose of why I go into the schools to reach the younger generation, is to really highlight the legacy of what M.A.F has done over the years with our forefathers and all the ones who have gone before us. But so the younger generation get inspired by missions because often they're more concerned about what their latest status on their Snapchat with their story is rather than the call of God. So if we can get them inspired by the call of God and not just on social media, that's the aim of that. And you can see we've had one student who did our leadership program who is now working under me. And he's now presenting in schools in New South Wales. So, that's the purpose of that program. But that's what I do. I was in the church team for about 4 or 5 years and working with that. So I still go and speak in churches, still involved in that. But I'm also involved in our local church down in Clyde Church of Christ. So very busy, but I love the young people. And that's a big passion of mine. So we'll see if the technology works to some degree. If it doesn't, it's all good. And apologies to my wife sitting on the clicker remote for the worship before. That was quite a blooper. I almost lost it laughing. So who is M.A.F? So for over 80 years. So last year we had our 80th anniversary where we actually gathered at MST. I made sure it was in Melbourne. So I've made all the Sydney people come down to Melbourne. I went, this is a Melbourne thing. You have only had it for for 10 years or so. This is a Victorian thing. So they all came down. I made them come down. And we had our gala dinner, which was amazing to see all our pioneers. Some have worked for M.A.F for 40 years that were there. And so 80th anniversary last year. And so we've been serving the isolated people in the world during that time. And really it's to bring the essentials of life, so medical care, emergency food, and Christian hope. They're some of the keys. So help, hope, and healing, if you want to put it in 3 words. Help, hope, and healing. And in those communities, we're serving the church. We're serving organisations. We're serving the people in that where flying isn't just a luxury, but it's a lifeline. So for them, it's without it, their businesses would cease to exist. They won't get the medical care that they need. It would take them 3 or 4 days to walk when we can fly them in half an hour, which is often the difference between life and death in a lot of those situations. A bit about our history. So our first pilot was actually a female. A lot of people think, aviation's a very heavy male industry, but actually we've got a long list of female pilots who have pioneered the way. And Betty Green conducted our first flight in 1946. And started by World War II servicemen. So they really used their fighter pilots, in World War II, and they were using those to kill people. And so they wanted to use it for good instead. And so pilots from all around America, Australia, Canada came together and to start what we know as M.A.F. Murray Kendon, one of our founders in 1945, said, "How is it that there is enough money to get thousands of planes into the air to kill and destroy when only a handful are being used for missionary work?" And so that's where the vision came from, is using planes for mission work. And I think that's why it's lasted so long, is that there's that passion for the vision, but it's been the reality of the need has always been there, and it continues to be there in many countries. All right. Oh my gosh, it works. There you go. Watch this video.
When you're in a bigger city or a bigger town, then you have a lot more resources available, and you don't realise how much you have until you come to somewhere like Yamacook or even Copium or other more isolated. The more isolated, the more rural that you go, the less that they have. So even, just basic needs like hand sanitizer and iodine and all of these other things would be just so helpful to be bringing these supplies to isolated places, because they don't have them just readily available like you do in the bigger places. I think the isolated areas can be so under-resourced.
Doctor come help to take that medical and we are not beginning of the plan or America or diplomacy or help to plan. Now America will be two or helping the Almas Redon.
There were 3 stations, there were 3 of us working together, each of us had a translator, and I'm not sure how many we would have seen, maybe 30. Flying even the aeroplane is really amazing as well. I think M.A.F. do an amazing job of getting things together, organised, coordinated, and then coming to bring healthcare to those who otherwise probably wouldn't see it, or they would have to walk for days and days to get it. Quite a remarkable experience. Well, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to come with M.A.F. to here. I'm really emotional because it's really an amazing experience, and to be part of it and to be part of the team to bring healthcare is so special, and I won't forget this. I'm just so grateful, thankful to God that He would call me here to come and help, and I think I'll be back, so I'm excited for that.
That was a video from this year, so them up in Papua New Guinea. So you can see the healthcare professionals, even they get touched by God when they go and do this service, because they can see how it enables them to do their work and their calling as well. So pretty special. So what we do is, our purpose is to deliver practical and spiritual care to people in places of deepest human need. Our vision is to see isolated people changed by the love of Christ. And love is what leads us. Without love, Paul says, we're just a big gong. We would just be a big humanitarian airline that doesn't have any reason to be there. But with the love of Christ, that's what changes it. And our mission is to serve together to bring help, hope, and healing through aviation. So just to give you guys a bit of an idea of, it's probably hard to read it from there, but you can kind of see where our programs are. So in the blue, you've got all our resourcing groups. So they're all the countries that help bring people, bring finance, as well as also support in other various ways with resources, training people up, as well as with volunteers, all those kind of things. So in those countries, that's who I work for, so Australia. And so you've got other countries like Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, India, Italy, Malaysia, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Philippines, Singapore, South Africa, Sweden, Switzerland, UK, and as we like to have a bit of a joke about, the USA and the Canadians like to do their own thing at times as well. So they also run aviation programs themselves as well. So they're quite, M.A.F. USA is quite big, but we're actually integrating our resourcing groups and our programs into one entity, which has been quite a journey of integration. So that's so we can have greater communication, we can have greater read on where everything's going and what's going on, which is really cool. So we're actually doing a lot more with our actual on-the-ground people who are working together. So there's a really great, exciting time ahead for us. And so our main programs with M.A.F.I. is Arnhem Land, Bangladesh, Chad, Guinea, Kenya, Liberia, Madagascar, Myanmar, Papua New Guinea, South Sudan, Tanzania, Timor-Leste, and Uganda. Tanzania, we're actually, I think that's a bit in the works going on there as well. South Sudan's being a massive work at the moment. We're doing a lot in there with refugees and just, a lot of, we're actually pulling a lot of our resources from other African countries into South Sudan at the moment, as there's a high need there. So that's just so you guys know. And then M.A.F. USA, also in the dark, their programs, they have quite a few in those countries like Angola, Brazil, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ecuador, Guatemala, Haiti, Indonesia, Lesotho, Mali, Mexico, Mozambique, and Suriname. So they're some of the ones that the USA are involved in. So we have a lot of access to their videos and content, but they're big enough to run those programs. So as you can see, it's probably the listing of the FIFA World Cup countries there. You could just about name most of them. But yeah, it's a privilege to be able to do that. And overall, at the moment, we have 117 aircraft, 1,400 staff members, 24 plus countries and 1,000 destinations overall. So as I said before, 117, yes. So, and when I ask the kids, I'm often like, how much do you think a plane, a Cessna usually is worth? It depends on the model, but they're like, $40,000, $100,000. I'm like, well, you got to be higher than that. So usually they're about $5 million each, those planes. So we're having 117. You can see how generous people are. But we had one plane that came down here to Melbourne last year, and people got to fly in it for our 80th anniversary, and that was a brand new one, which was going to Papua New Guinea, and that was bought by someone who actually owned a postcode company, and they bought the whole plane. So I'm like, loose change, $5 million, no worries. So that was pretty incredible. But that's the kind of generosity we have. My wife being Dutch, the Dutch have some crazy stories around people who are just like, just buy a plane, just go for it. So it's pretty incredible. We're very privileged to have that generosity. But yeah, so how we help mainly is aid and development, medical assistance, disaster responses, and Christian mission, which at the heart of everything that we do, the Christian mission is the centre of it. So that filters through in everything else. And our pilots will take any opportunity they can get when there is that opportunity with someone on the plane to talk about Jesus, and that's pretty cool. Sometimes they have kings on the plane. They'll have prime ministers. They'll have we've got 1,500 different organisations we work with. They'll be talking with them, so they have a lot of influence. That normally in a Qantas flight, you're in the cockpit, hidden away. It's on automatic. It's you don't have as much interaction with the passengers. A lot of the guys who work for us don't want to do automatic piloting. They want to come and do manual and be far more involved, which is cool. As I just said, so 1,500 different partner organisations. Whitcliffe is one we've been for a long time in partnership with there in PNG, and often when I go to a conference, we'll have a good chat with them, and when we're next to each other, we celebrate each other in that way. And I think that's one unique thing about M.A.F. is that we aren't just here to do M.A.F.'s work, we're here to do the body of Christ, to what we're trying to build overall. And I think, with all the variety there with Samaritan's Purse and World Vision and Tear Fund and SIM, we partner with these guys, we fly their missionaries in and out of places where it would take them days to do this work if they didn't have our planes there. They wouldn't be able to spread the gospel, wouldn't be able to do what they do. So the Operation Christmas Child wouldn't be able to get the shoeboxes that the schools do here to where they need to go. And so we help them in that way. But that's just a few of them. There's a lot more. Mercy Ships is another one we've got a big partnership with at the moment as well. So we help them. But yeah, that's always growing, always expanding. And when I like to meet up with the other mission organisations, I like to, really promote them and talk about them up. So it's not just about what we're doing. So in Matthew 28, 18 to 20, as we said, it says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations. So the heart of what we do is that the world would know him. And that's part of our great calling of the Great Commission, is that we would make disciples in our community, in our area that we're involved in. So Jesus' command is to his church to make disciples of all nations. So people who learn from him and obey his teaching. And so how M.A.F. helps make disciples, we create access so pastors, Bible translators and trainers can reach isolated communities. Our M.A.F. Technologies team distributes Bibles, I think it was about 1,500, it was even more, maybe more than that last year, they distribute them. So we actually create devices where they can read it in their own, listen to it in their own language, and we're also producing Bibles to be able to have it in their own language as well to read. And so our part of that is working with Wycliffe as well to help them with their Bible translations. And so we aren't just flying planes, we're also developing solar panels, we're developing all kinds of different ways to help the Bible get there to where it needs to go. We support local churches that baptise, teach, nurture believers who then disciple others. So our pilots in Arnhem Land, for example, massive part of the community there. So when we've been there for over 50 years, and our pilots don't just turn there and be like, we're here to rescue you. They go, we're part of the community. So they're at the Aboriginal community there, see them as the Yolngu people see us as family. So they call them brother or sister. So we're a fabric of the community. We're involved in the church. So our pilots are often the youth pastor, the young adult leader. They might even be the ones preaching on a sermon on a Sunday. So they're not just there to just serve in aviation. They're a full fabric of the community. So they're making disciples literally as they go, and that's pretty cool. So how do we make disciples as individuals here in Australia? Well, we live as disciples ourselves. We let Jesus shape our character, our choices, and our relationships. And then we can walk with others. When we're being a disciple ourselves, then we can walk with others, our family, our friends, our colleagues, younger believers, to help them follow Jesus in everyday life. I had the privilege of this week, my mum is a principal, so I can't be too naughty when I go to a school and speak at her own school. But I was speaking to their student leaders this week about leadership, and it was really going into character and what you do online and what you do behind closed doors and how that matters, and discipling these young guys because a lot of what I'm seeing is that the younger generation in that year 9 to year 10 bracket with boys lack empathy at the moment. They don't care how you feel, they don't care what your life involves. They have a lack of sensitivity. And so I see it as a part of discipling them is to be aware of what you do affects other people and how you it affects their emotions, it affects their mind. And so it's great when you can see that penny drop of, oh, I can't just do whatever I want. And so part of that is making disciples, is discipling them intentionally according to the word, but also according to character as well. And so we want to pray for those who don't know him yet. So our hearts remain gentle, as I just said, towards those around us. When we become hard-hearted towards non-believers, that's where we push ourselves away from them. And so at M.A.F, we know the people we are serving sometimes are in sin, or their lifestyles don't match up to a lifestyle of Jesus. But we are pushed towards compassion for them. And then the discipleship will come in through the local churches, and we see transformation of character, transformation of hearts. And we have thousands of videos of testimonies of these situations. We've even got one girl who is from the Aboriginal, the Yolngu community, who actually wants to volunteer for us in our office up there now. And she's doing that, and that's come from this intentional discipleship of connection. And so praying for those who don't know him yet is a big part of it. In Romans 10:15 it says, "How beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news." So some updates just worldwide. I thought some of you like updates around how M.A.F's going. So we continue to serve the isolated communities. In Arnhem Land, from January 2024 to the end of October 2025, we flew 692 medical retrieval flights for Northern Territory's health patient transport. So that's serving the homelands that larger aircraft cannot reach. So that's how many flights we had to do for the medical retrieval. In 2025, our Arnhem Land team carried 10,050 passengers, providing lifeline flights to more than 60 remote community airstrips across the region. So you think of 10,000 passengers, that's a lot of opportunities to talk about Jesus, to affect them with our character, to save lives as well. And domestic violence rescues are a big part of what we do up in Arnhem Land as well. In Papua New Guinea, we strengthened the program with a new Cessna Caravan P2AFD, and we've also got one which can land on water now up in the highlands there, so in the Western Province. So that one can reach the river villages, which is awesome because now it opens us up to a whole new region that our pilots with the amphibious plane can land. So the other new Cessna Caravan, in its first 3 days, it served 22 remote airstrips, flying more than 90 passengers and essential supplies into very isolated communities. So you can see, even within 3 days, how much an impact a plane can have. So we're also seeing new opportunities. So we're doing survey flights in Guinea to open access for churches and health cars. Computer training in Bougainville up in Papua New Guinea, but isolated an island off Papua New Guinea. So we're doing that training to equip young people for future work in ministry. So the opportunities down there aren't as great. So we have to have our M.A.F technologies guys go in there and do some computer training and disciple them in other ways. I think we might have a video. No. So Matt Painter, who's our comms manager for M.A.F International, he's from Pathway Baptist Church up in Templestowe. So Matt is massive in M.A.F over 20 years. He says, every day I get to see evidence of God at work through our team. And so we're going to look at that just with this video about a patient.
If you just relying on the mobile phone, invariably the network will go down right when you're trying to evacuate a patient, he's going to die.
M.A.F technology basically use technology to bring help openly to the remote isolated communities of Papua New Guinea. We are the bridge to the remote communities basically.
With many technologies, we provide distribution of Bibles. So Bibles, there's been written Bibles, audio Bibles, preloaded SD cards.
In that year, we give out for audio Bible itself about 5,000, print Bible about 5,000, just for 1 year.
There's a way for me that the only chance of getting a Bible. So that's our priority, to get the Bible, not to get to the remote community.
Any wishes are reviewed, this is also present for all the Sassanos, and this hand. Then you know how to do that.
We supply vaccine kits for remote hospital clinics, so they can store the vaccine. Because most of the remote places, they don't have that. So it's one services that we M.A.F technologies provide.
No, so now, we got to take some this magazine inside the sun on the fridge, so that we got a powering, we got the receipt over the American clinic.
Our unity is a developed country, and 80% of the places have no access to communication. Recently, the mobile phone went to remote places providing communication. Still, there are places where still radio communicates.
It's key as well to hear what's actually happening in other places. So, for us, we do radio sets, and that's when HF comes into its own really, to be able to communicate legally. They always have someone on the end of the radio in Baroka, so if there's no other means of communication, you know that someone's going to answer the call.
Les veines on a bien, and different. How to blow up in blow up. And here was one. beginning and going like women and walking over mama. No, I'm not on phone, talks on flyer, talks on the phone, talks here. You don't put your mouth on the what plus on just saying mama. So I like to come over here and helping me to send all mama. So heavy come up all, I was carrying, I was trying to do for this land because we don't have land. We just speak your family, making all sending all the slack so. And then we go pick back into M.A.F technology, the Japan setting solar light.
Our future is we're looking at renewable energy. We're also looking at how can we remove ourselves from doing it and enabling others to do it. And then we are looking beyond the horizon. What's out there? How can we reach other nations? M.A.F has a wide range of programs in many parts of the world. So how can we use the network that has been established to also use technology to bring health, hope, and healing? We are doing that so that we can advance the technology and also help those that need help in the remote isolated communities that we are serving, so that health, hope, and healing can continue.
So you can see the impact of not just aviation, but also what we can do with technology in these remote communities. And when we have a holistic approach to building community, and as you can see, I actually got the number wrong. It's not 1,500, it's 5,000 Bibles, and in person, and then 5,000 audio ones. So they're doing massive work up in PNG there, and they're looking to expand that M.A.F technologies. It's mostly been in Papua New Guinea, but to go into, as you were saying, to go into other nations and provide renewable energy for these places and actually make a massive difference in the everyday lives of those people. So we can thank God that we can be involved in the outworking of Matthew 11:5 in today's world. As Jesus' hands and feet, the blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. We thank God for his provision and ask that he continues to provide the resources we need to do his work. This is Joseph. So Matt Painter, I was just showing you before. So when he was in Papua New Guinea, he met a man named Joseph Ako, and he was flying with M.A.F back home to Wanakaba, avoiding a 2-day mountain walk that he had to do. And as Matt chatted, he couldn't help but notice Joseph had a finger missing, and that led to a fascinating story. Praise another.
Yeah.
That's right. I think it might have frozen. All good. But yeah, Joseph eventually was sharing with Matt about how he had passed away and was in a morgue, essentially, and he rose from the dead. And so Joseph was telling Matt about how God raised him from the dead, and Joseph is now able to have his family and be with them and live. And it was an amazing story that Matt was just blown away. And this is just one of many stories that we're seeing of people receiving healing and help and hope. And Joseph, whilst a big story, that's the reality of his life, and that's what he shares. Unfortunately, you get to see the last part of him sharing about it. But as we said before with Matthew 28, we're called to make disciples of all nations, just like Joseph there. To know him as his disciple, that we would be disciples ourselves. And we would make him known where you live. Whether it is in your family, whether it's in the school, your work, the people you live around. You can be his presence in every place you go. You can be a representation, an ambassador for Christ. And that's the way we see it, is that when we make disciples, is that we're not just creating a Christian program in a place, we're actually being holistically Jesus in that place. So every aspect of Christ, that we would see lives change, we would see communities built, we would see the gospel salvations come forward. And so it's holistic, it's not just one aspect. And so as you partner with M.A.F, that we would see isolated communities hear and follow Jesus. So Australia is blessed in that we're the only country in the world to have a program within our own country where you don't need to have a passport to go visit a M.A.F program up in Arnhem Land. So, and we also have a training centre up in Mareeba in Queensland, and then we also have a resourcing offices Sydney, and then I'm the one down in Melbourne. So we're blessed in that way. But in Arnhem Land in particular, in the homelands, we're having a big impact there. With one of the things we have is education flights, which we call them the flying school bus, where we get to fly in teachers to the homeland so that the children don't have to be flown or have to be driven hours away from their families. They can actually live in their homelands and the teachers can come to them. So that we fund those flights for those teachers. So we're going to watch a quick video. Hopefully it works.
Hi there everyone, we're just probably driving to the 50th anniversary of the Dana Point payments. I'm driving to a small community called Belfast where the celebration is going to take place, about 2.5 hours from ago. And the Dana Point payments is an area that M.A.F supports. We support them with healthcare, with emergency evacuations, and also support the Dana Point payments.
It was self-determination, and Europe decided to make control of their own region.
My name is Jon Munro. M.A.F to me personally it provides a reliable service for homeland Northern and for other services that needs to be done in homeland, and people that provide those services and carry out the work into homelands, M.A.F flies those people into the homelands day in, day out.
Has been so much involved in the movement from taking people back to their homelands. All of that, and
we have a long history of collaborating with M.A.F. For the majority of the time, our staff travel with M.A.F. to get to and from vacation in Oman. But also in recent years, critically, we've been running a 4-week program here at Babalala. New students will come together to do their NCCT studies, and that's why the students in and out each week to participate in their secondary education.
M.A.F provide essential lifeline services for the people here, and we've been doing so for over 50 years. Ireland is an area about the size of Iceland and home to 16,000 people who are arguably some of the most isolated people on the planet. For many people, the opportunity to get to a hospital, to get to safety, to get to a school, is many hours of driving along dangerous, dusty, bumpy roads. And at many times of the year, it's just impossible to do so.
The history of M.A.F has important for everyone to know, and the connection it builds with the humor of the homelands. So yeah, today I speak very proudly of M.A.F.
So yeah, you can see there the impact long-term partnership and relationship has over many years where you persevere. And I've shown this with the school students this week, is that when you show grit, when you persevere under trials, you see fruit like that over many years where you build that trust that they have in us, and we have that, and we have trust in them. But there's that relationship of being family, that you can't just do that overnight. And so making disciples sometimes also does look like it takes time to do that as well. And it's being consistent day in, day out with those people that we've built that reputation, that trust with them. So in Acts 1:8 it says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." So that's one of the calls, is to go to the ends of the earth. And as you partner with us, we would love for you to look at, so this one might need to be played from the mouse, but this is just, at the moment we have our end of financial year period, and so this is just called End the Wait. Might need to exit out of the video, I think, and then go to the next slide. That's right. Escape button, I think. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I'll let you guys do it. So that's really about ending. So we can't fly our planes at night during that time, and so there's a medical evacuation in Arnhem Land. We want to be able to fly during the night time so that we can get to them in those capacities too. So the focus for our end of financial year is really, rather than giving your finances to the government, you can give it towards something meaningful like M.A.F. In getting to those places so we can go at night time. So that's our focus during this campaign. But there are many other ways that you can partner with us. Prayer is number one for us. We need prayer. We need consistent prayer. We need daily prayer. We have quarterly Zoom gatherings online where we hear from programs. So we have usually our pilots or engineers come online and they'll share about the reality or the prayer needs, exactly of what needs to happen. And so I'll leave this up at the end of the service if you want to be a part of that, because our next one will be on August the 5th at 12 p.m. It's a 1 hour Zoom event, and you'll hear updates about what's happening with M.A.F, but also we also get together and pray. So I put people in breakout rooms, and you get to meet other people from around Australia who are passionate about M.A.F, but we actually pray, and that's really cool. It's amazing to see. I always try and put people who I think would be good at networking with each other, but then they get to pray, and it's really lovely. We also have a WhatsApp prayer channel as well, where you can follow along, and as urgent requests come forward, also praise points as well directly from the field, so that way you can get it more instant. And if you are praying at home, then you've got something to pray about, which is excellent. Also, we have our monthly email, which has daily prayer points for the programs, as well as also the Australian staff serving in them. So that's a bit more specific. That's another way you guys can join our prayer community, which, like I said, prayer is paramount. It's massive. Also, recruitment-wise, if you know of anyone who's interested in being a pilot or engineer, aircraft technicians, IT specialists, operations even, admin experts, even volunteers. I'm also looking if anyone wants to volunteer in the education team, come out to schools. If it's a young adult who's doing uni, who wants to get some experience, they can come out with me and go into the schools and really test their leadership ability with year 9s in particular. You've got a website, there's plenty of opportunities, or you can talk to me directly after. Also, we have a new thing which I didn't put a slide up here, but for our 16 to 25-year-olds, so youth and young adults, it's a new concept which has been used over in the UK, and the Scandinavians have used it, and South Africa I think as well. The UK actually have about 1,500 young adults in that age bracket that are now joined their movement called Copilot. And so we're launching that here. We're doing it within an Australian context. The UK don't have to travel as far, so we want to get the whole of Australia being able to access this. So it's going to be on a Discord channel, which is going to be able to, through our website in July, it'll be launched where people can actually become members of Copilot, and then they'll be able to be on the Discord, which the young people will be able to be a part of a community with like-minded, mission-minded, and they'll actually get to meet our pilots and our staff through exclusive Q&As, as well as we're going to have some games nights and different things. So if you know anyone who's in that age, 16 to 25, feel free to talk to me. I'll probably give some resources to Dave as well to be able to do that. But that's going to be quite exciting, especially anyone who wants to go into a career and maybe they're getting their hours up still. They're a couple of years away from even contemplating it. It's a great way for them not to feel alone and not feel isolated in that journey, and they can be around people who are going through the same journey with them. Which is exciting. And there's also the opportunity to volunteer through that and get all the opportunities directly fed to them. So that way it's a bit more specific. So they're just some of the ways people can partner with us. But like I said, prayer is pinnacle. So I'll leave that up there if any of you want to access that at the end. You can just QR code from your phone. Or you can just go on the website if you want to do that as well. They're also on there as well. So, but why don't I finish in prayer, and thank you everyone for listening. Yes, Lord, we just bring Crosspoint Baptist before you, Father. We thank you for this great church, that they are making disciples, and will continue to make disciples of all nations, Lord, and that we can partner with them to show what we're doing, and as we pray and support each other, Lord, that we will continue to see your gospel message go to the ends of the earth, Lord, that it will go to here in Clyde and Casey, as well as to PNG and Arnhem Land and other places. And we just continue to pray just for everyone's health, and you continue to support them through their own lives, Father. And we pray for the next generation that we would see young people mission-minded and looking to those around them, Father, and that you'd soften our hearts towards those around us as well. And we just pray a blessing over this whole congregation, Lord. In your name. Amen. I'll hand back to Dave.